Here we're going to talk about a technique called water etching. So like many of these other surface techniques, the first thing you need to do is think about your design. As you can see, I'm going with just a basic leaf pattern, and what I'm using is Mod Podge to paint that design onto bone dry clay. All right, so that is important. What you need to have prepped for this surface technique is a bone dry project. So make it, let it dry, do not have it fired. You'll see the final result of this obviously at the end of the video, but I do want to show you another option. It requires a little bit of planning ahead, but if you want the etched parts of your project to be colored rather than just bare clay, what I did on this portion of my pot is I used a little bit of underglaze on my bone dry pot before applying the Mod Podge. So like I said, if you would like, it might not make a huge difference after you glaze this in the long run, but if you would like a pop of color, then you may use underglaze first. And once you are done brushing your design on with the Mod Podge, please stop what you are doing and thoroughly wash that brush out using soap if possible, because if you let that sit and dry, the Mod Podge is going to ruin the brush and it will no longer be usable. All right, once your design is brushed on and that Mod Podge has fully dried, this is the last step. You're going to need a bucket of water and a sponge. And this is the actual water etching part. So what you need to do, and this can take a little while, so just be prepared for this to be a slowish process. But with that damp sponge, you're going to repeatedly rub against that bone dry clay. And what's going to happen is the parts where the clay is not covered in Mod Podge, that water and that rubbing is going to cause the clay to slowly erode a little bit. So what's going to happen is your design is going to be left raised. So it's very minimal. You don't have to do too much, but you can start to see as I rub, you can sort of start to tell that those leaves are now at a different level than the rest of the pot. Once again, take your time as you do this, because the more care and attention you put into this actual rubbing part, the more effective your design and the water etching is going to be. So I like to carefully make sure that each and every part of my design is raised. And if I notice that part of my design is particularly shallow, I will go back in and I will etch away a little bit more clay to get that part of the design to be more pronounced. So this is what it looks like once I'm done etching. You can definitely tell that those parts are raised. And if you did choose to use underglaze, you will have wiped the underglaze away from the background, so only your design is what's left with color. And this is how my project looks after it has been bisque fired. You'll probably have a little bit of residue left behind from the Mod Podge. So I'm just taking a little damp sponge and wiping that away. You can kind of see it's like little flecks of dust, but easily wiped away. So you are done now with the actual etching part, and this is yours to glaze how you choose. So just a quick tip, if you want that design to not get lost, I would choose something that is slightly more translucent. Something that shows texture through, because if you choose something that is really thick and really opaque, you might just lose that design and all that you worked for.